make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up.
Welcome back to another episode of Lone Star College Football. We've got the post-game show, Baylor versus Utah. Logan, it was a tough game. At some points, there was a lot of positives. I mean, honestly, that we can take away from this game. There
Yeah.
are some negatives. It is hard to. It's like, man, we held Utah to 20, but it's like, well, Utah didn't have Cam Rising. And then this true freshman, if they had played him the whole game, who knows what they could have scored. But
Yep.
at the same time, if you take Jaquindon Jackson, who I feel like got most of his rushing yards in the second half, um, y'all had pretty good run D the first half. Your offense was getting pushed for the running offense. So I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna throw this your way. You're the Baylor expert. Let me know what you saw and what went wrong in the second half that really flipped the script for y'all this week.
So in the second half, Sawyer Robertson actually rolled his ankle, so that led to a little bit more of a conservative offensive play calling. Do I think that's what lost us the game? No. I think the heat got to our defensive line. One of the guys had the opportunity to meet with the press, as we have two or three that meet after every game. Along with Dave Aranda, and he just said that whenever it came down to the fourth quarter, those last two drives, especially that 8-minute drive, it just the heat, like just everything started wearing down the defense. The integrity of our defensive line started to fail there. Linebackers were making mental mistakes as far as the gaps that they were supposed to shoot, and we just started arm tackling really bad. Um, yeah, I mean their offense wasn't anything great until those last two drives. And that's right after that first one. I said, well, there it goes. I already know we're about to give them the ball back. I know how this works. I watched the TCU game last year. And right after I said that, we threw a pick. And then let them score with not enough time on the clock. And then that we had a pretty decent shot at tying the game there at the end, if not going for the win. I'm sure most college football fans, if they have Twitter, have seen the last play over and over and over again, as my feed was full of nothing but defensive pass interference that was not called. Not me being biased or anything, but I would say that most football fans would call that defensive pass interference unless you are a Ute.
Yeah,
Today.
there was definite pass interference on that last play.
But that's not what lost us the game. What lost us the game was our defense getting tore up in the fourth quarter, letting them hold on to the ball for almost 10 minutes of that last quarter. But our offense actually played pretty well until we got into the red zone. I feel like Sawyer Robertson actually did pretty good. Did he have some costly mistakes? Yes. This is his first career start. It's not going to be all amazing how Blake Shapen came out and did whenever Gary Bohannon got hurt back in 2020 and 2021. Run game was only there for Dominic Richardson. I don't know what's going on with Richard Reese, but whenever he did carry the ball, he only got 21 yards off of 7 carries. Offensive line played a lot better than what they did against Texas State, which really surprised me and Christian. I think that closer to the end of the game, when everybody's getting wore down, their pass rush was starting to get to us a lot more than what it did before.
Yeah, I look at this game and I see, like I said earlier, there's pros and there's cons. There's things that we can take away where it's like, okay, that's a step forward, but then it's also like, and I picked the over in this game, 47 points. I was like, they'll score more than 47 because Texas State scored 45. And so I was like, honestly, Utah might score 47 points in this game, and y'all held them. I was like, man, maybe that just means Texas State's offense is that. And then they came out and just didn't do. I think they scored 14 against
I think
UTSA.
think their score might
13.
have been the same as us. Yeah.
It was
It was
20-13. And so it's like, what do you do with this? Like, is this a bad loss? No, because you were underdogs.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
and
you
it's
were 7.5 or 7, depending on where you looked at it, point dog. So it's not a bad loss. Is it good that you're in the game? Yeah, I think so. But then it's like, but is that because of Baylor or was Utah doing something wrong? You know, like it's
exactly.
hard for me to look at this game and say, did Baylor figure something out? Everything except the last 9 minutes of the game, or 2 or 3 minutes of the game, really. Did Baylor figure something out to actually have solid defense, or did Utah just have, like, is that quarterback Burns or whatever his name is that bad? I will say I looked up the average temperature in Utah in the month of August is 89 degrees.
Must be nice.
So it's hard, yeah, right. It's hard for you to say that, Dave Aranda was saying that heat got to y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all should be used to that. They
Yeah,
should
we
be
should.
used to
I
it.
agree.
And it was only 100. That was only 100. With on
Yep.
the field be like 130.
I
mean,
think it
crap,
maxed out
2
at
weeks ago.
145 or something. But yeah, I
2
mean,
weeks ago it'd have been 108, and on the field would have been I think it was 166 last week in Austin. I mean, it's hot here. We should, our team that should have been an advantage. Home field advantage is playing in
exactly.
your temperature, what you're used to. And I don't think Baylor took advantage of that. We talked a little bit about it. Just the two of us, not on the show. Dave Aranda, is that seat getting kind of hot?
That's
He's
tough.
20
I
and
mean,
18 as a coach for Baylor. 20 and 18.
Yeah. I mean,
He
like I've
had a
told you
season where he was
before,
12 and 2. You
I
take
know.
that season out, bud. That's 8 and 16.
Trust me, I get what you're saying. But if I had to guess, this game probably helped him more than it hurt, as
I
far
can agree with
as
that.
in Mac Rhodes' eyes and some of the Baylor fans. I mean, I think stuff like in the first half we had false starts again.
Yeah.
It wasn't as many. I think we ended today with 4, and when last week it was 6, which is it's progress, but at the same time, it's like whenever it's killing drives to the point to where we are in the red zone, and stupid holding or false start penalties keep us out of the end zone.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because we should have had more than 13. Utah should have had more than 20. This should have been a lot higher scoring of a game.
The only reason I'd say Utah would have had more than 20 is if Jackson, what was that his name? The other quarterback, Nathan Jackson or something like that? Johnson. If he had played the whole game, I think there's no telling how many points they would have scored. If they played that, because they were doing quick passes, they were hurry up offense. If they were playing that offense, they'd have scored a lot. If Cam Rising was in, they might have put up 56. I mean, but I'll give your defense a ton of credit for not having too much film to study on these guys, because Utah played a really good game last week against Florida. Like I thought even with Burns they were going to beat y'all by a good bit.
Yeah.
When I ask about Dave Aranda on the hot seat, it has a lot to do with, 0-2 in year 4. Is this year 4?
Yep.
0-2 in year 4, and looking ahead, we can see where it'll get better. We can look at the schedule and find some wins.
Maybe.
But considering I personally saw 8-4 being kind of what y'all would do this year, and that's only with one of the losses was Utah. If y'all continue on the path that I think you're going, you're probably looking at losing another 3 or 4 games.
Yep.
If y'all lose 3 more, you're 7-5, which might right now be like almost best case scenario, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So if y'all go 7-5 at best, goodness gracious, if y'all go 6-6, I don't know how Dave keeps it.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's not like it's another one-win season like we've had in the past or two-win season. So I
No,
don't
but
I don't know exactly what it's gonna take to get to that point because I feel like we have really good talent. I don't know as if the scheme that we run offensively is an issue that I see a lot of people saying that. Defensively, I want to see tighter coverage because on those last two drives, like I was talking about, they were throwing slants that were completed 12 yards down the field. Is a slant, if you know anything about football, that's supposed to be a little 3 to 4 yard gain, or at least
yeah,
caught at the like after 3 or 4 yards, not 10 yards down the field. And stuff like that, it was frustrating me really bad. I said a couple of choice words I'm not the proudest of, but I was just frustrated. It's like they keep running the same thing, especially whenever Johnson's in. It's either a quick pass to a slant or it's a QB power. I mean, it was frustrating. I will say though that our defensive line did end up getting 3 sacks, um, and our offensive line didn't give up any. Surprisingly, especially with how they played last week. Sawyer, I feel like he carried himself very well for the most part until the end of the game. Whenever stuff started to fall apart defensively, it's like he feels the pressure, so he gets rid of the ball, or he's getting hit while he throws and ends up being an interception. Whenever there's a guy that's 10 yards past him wide open, that could have probably been a touchdown because it was Burton, who is fast.
yeah.
Probably, yeah, I bet he
That
maxes out
guy's got to
around
get
20.
on Scully.
That's another thing. How is he not on scholarship? Trey Wilson had a pretty good game. Again, he played really good against Texas State. As good as somebody did play for Baylor against Texas State. Let me reword that. Um, Mike Smith and Matt Jones surprised me a lot this game. Matt Jones had a really good game. Mike Smith and Matt Jones were both body slamming people for no reason.
Yeah,
I mean, I love to see the aggression. I think our defense came out hot as far as aggression compared to last week. The energy was there. Fans were in the game. You could actually hear the fans through the um, presentation. It was great to hear. I loved it until it got bad. Whenever we were up 13-3, I was smiling, couldn't stop smiling. Then they scored, and then I was like, okay, I know where this one's going.
well, good thing is, man, the next 2 weeks or the next week you've got Long Island, who's 0-2. They lost to Bryant and they lost to Ohio. Um, I don't know what the spread on that'll be, but I think I'll pick Baylor to win big in that game. You know, I've got a tune-up game before Texas. Don't get caught looking too far ahead, not preparing for this Long Island team. Uh, don't get caught. Not that I think Long Island has any chance of beating y'all, but just be careful.
Don't want to be 0-3.
Yeah, man. I don't want this to turn into a Dave Aranda, but I just have so many questions. How many games in a row have y'all lost now? Is it 6 or 7?
I believe it's 6 right now.
I just if it looking at y'all schedule. Should we make the different video for this? What are you thinking, bud?
Yeah, that one it can probably.
This could be a conversation. All right, I
This
tell you
might be
what.
more of a middle of the season kind of thing.
I don't know if we're gonna make it to the middle of the season to have this conversation. If y'all want to hear about it, let us know. We might make just a different video on that. Logan, you got anything else to add about this?
I will say, as good as Sawyer played, I don't think that we have to worry about Blake Shapen losing his starting job.
He doesn't have the clutch gene. It's
No.
not in him.
I want to know what's going on with Richard Reese.
Big time.
Hal Presley, Keytron Jackson had pretty good yards, but
I will
not very
say
many receptions.
How Presley got cheated on a touchdown because Robertson, he got hit throwing that ball, but he sailed it
Yeah.
just about a yard and a half out of bounds.
Yeah.
But the DB tripped over his own feet, and Hal Presley would have been torched. He'd have torched him.
I think
Um,
Keytron would have had a touchdown right there at the end of the game if he had both of his arms up.
Yeah, it's hard to say whether he'd have caught it or not, but no matter what, it should have been a 15-yard penalty and untimed down. No matter,
Yep.
I mean that should have been it regardless. Which I was actually thinking about that looking back. Utah, if Utah had lost that game, can you imagine what Kyle Whittingham? How do you say
Yeah,
it?
Whittingham.
Whittingham?
Yeah,
Can you
Whittingham.
imagine the conversation he's having with Glover, the running back that ran down the goal line and then scored? Because in
Well, he
theory,
got
you don't
shoved
score
in,
there. Right. But in
but it didn't
theory, take a
fall.
knee in the
Yeah.
middle. Like they're letting you score. Just fall down,
Yep.
kick the field goal to win is the safe play. And that's why you do it. Jaquindon Jackson scored and the flag came out. And I was like, dang, bud, for y'all, that's probably the worst thing. Y'all could have had the ball with 40 seconds instead of 15. I was like, if I was y'all, I'd be like, man, I kind of hope this play would stand. But I think Baylor got cheated. If it's halftime or about going into half and not even then. If that ball's not in the end zone, let's say even if it's 20-13, Baylor throws that ball at the 45-yard line and the refs want to let them fight for that ball and play that, cool. It was pass interference, but I've seen less get called and I've seen more not get called. But in that situation, game on the line, you have to throw that flag. You don't have a choice. You have to. It was too obvious to where you can't throw it. It wasn't something where it's like, oh, maybe they just didn't. No, that was PI all day, every single time. I bet if you run that play back with any other crew of refs, 9 out of 10, they'd have threw it. The one just happened to be the crew y'all
Yeah.
had working today's game.
How I look at it is, it was a Big 12 crew, so
I thought it was a Pac-12 crew. I thought I saw
No, it
someone
was-
was Pac-12.
I'm pretty sure it was Big 12 is what I heard. But if it was like a Big 10 crew, somehow we got them down there just for that non-conference game, I feel like it probably would have been thrown. Now, I think Big 12 refs during conference play are calling that, depending on the school. I don't know. It's just strange. It didn't make much sense to me because, to me, being a receiver and a DB, that's 1,000% pass interference. But I don't want to keep talking about it because that's not what lost us the game in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just mental mistakes on the defense. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we can't be too upset. I mean, this is a number 12 Utah that's back-to-back Pac-12 champions, and we had them on the ropes. We just couldn't execute. Our offense had 4 yards until that last drive. 4 yards in the fourth quarter.
Oh, that ain't gonna do it.
No, it's not. I mean, we can't just hand the ball off to Dominic Richardson the whole time like he's Richard Reese last year. We can't do that. It's not going to work.
For a lot of the game, they did work, though.
I mean, for a decent bit, it did. And in the second half, Utah came out and was like, hey, they're just going to hand the ball to that guy. Let's just tackle that guy.
Y'all figured that out, did you?
And it took you long enough, but they figured it out finally.
If only y'all could have figured out that they were going to hand the ball to Jaquindon Jackson.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, y'all could have played the run 3 downs in a row and probably got stops because they throwing the ball was just terrible.
No, it wasn't there at all.
It was terrible.
Barnes was pretty much trying to give us the ball.
Pretty much. Sorry, Robertson said, "Oh, here, let me show you how it's done."
Yeah.
Bing.
I mean,
Bing. Anyhow, well, if y'all made it this far in the video, we sure do appreciate y'all rocking with us. We will have the Baylor and Long Island pregame show coming up. Probably, I don't know, maybe Wednesday. Same as Texas and Wyoming's pregame show. And then throughout the week, we're trying to think of some other games we might might hit a pregame show for. So let us know in the comments any good matchups coming up in week 3 that we need to look into, check some stats, and let y'all know our opinions on. With that being said, appreciate y'all working with us. And until next time,
Sick.
sick 'em.